Okay, so something that I know many people are going to talk about, and I've been wanting to talk about it too. Personally, let me just start off this video by saying I'm not a fan of this, but if I have to make sense of it, this is how I'm going to make sense of it. Sabine using the Force, yeah, okay, she was training. George Lucas did say many times that anyone can use the Force. It's like karate. It's, it only works if you're into that sort of thing and if you train very, very, very hard. Now, of course, there are limits. You can't expect Watto to be as powerful as Anakin Skywalker. Maybe if Watto trained for 10 billion years, he could be as powerful as Anakin Skywalker was when he was 9. Something like that. But there are levels to it, I believe. Now, when it comes to Sabine using the Force, she is related to Tarre Vizsla. Tarre Vizsla is the very first Mandalorian Jedi, and he was quite gifted. He was the one who, in the end, banded together Jedi and Mandalorians, but also caused, waging wars between them. So I believe that Sabine having latent powers makes sense, as Huyang did say to Ezra when he was building his lightsaber in Episode 8, that Ahsoka was afraid of Sabine's potential. That she knew that she had potential, but afraid of her if she was able to use the Force because she would potentially turn to the dark side or use dark side emotions and powers because of her anger towards the Empire for what they did to her family during the Night of 1,000 Tears, when they, purged Mandalore after Order 66, after the Clone Wars ended. Now, Ahsoka training Sabine, yes, very good trainer, of course, very good Jedi that could train someone to use the Force. Now, if you remember in Rebels, there was a scene where Sabine, when she was young, went to the statue of Tarre Vizsla with her father, and he was showing her of the origins. The Mandalorian Jedi was very powerful, and so on and so forth. And this is her, family history. So isn't far-fetched to believe that, yes, she has the Force as well. I just don't think many people caught on to it. And especially me, once Huyang said that Ahsoka knows that Sabine has potential. Now, my issue with this here is that essentially, I feel like Sabine was using too much of the Force too quickly. In a moment where she was able to finally let go of her anger, she was then able to use the Force. Now, that makes sense. But I kind of feel like that Force push was a little too good. And I know I'm being a bit of a stickler, but hey, look, it's just the way it is. I feel like if you're just starting to use the Force, it shouldn't be where you're able to propel someone that far just by, training for what, a month, 2 months, considering you really haven't used the Force ever, right? So I think, there maybe could be baby steps. Now people will say, well, what about Luke Skywalker? Luke Skywalker is the son of the chosen one. He has 20,000 midichlorians. I mean, it's a little bit different when you're comparing him to Sabine. And I would say the same to anybody else, whether they're male or female. So let's not pull that card out of the stack. Now, I also think that Sabine using the Force is definitely understandable, but I believe that, her having those abilities is just a little too soon. So all in all, yes, it does make sense that she can use the Force. However, how much of the Force should be able to use? Now, there was also an episode in Rebels, I think it was season 3, but I'm not really sure. And maybe you guys can correct me, where she goes to Lothal and she's the only one that hears a voice, and she tells Zeb, "You guys hear those voices?" And he's like, "Huh? What voices?" So it's clear that she has obviously some abilities that have kind of been coming in and out here and there just because of her powers. And I think this was something that was established very long ago when Rebels was being created by Dave. So she is a descendant of Tarre Vizsla. She does have the Force. She just hasn't been able to manifest or use it because she was never trained and never thought that she could actually use the Force properly. So she's been trained by Kanan. She's been trained by Ahsoka. It makes sense that she'd now be able to use the Force, but to that extent, I don't really buy it. I think it's a little too convenient. However, her letting go of her anger and kind of relaxing and just letting the Force flow through her in moments of desperation. Yeah, okay, sure. What do you guys think? Are you down with Sabine using the Force, or do you think it's a little bit convenient? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you always.